Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. How are you guys doing? Happy New Year! Oh my gosh, when was the last time I made a video? I don't even remember. The end of 2025 was just busy. School, traveling, Christmas, New Year's, it was just a lot. I haven't been settled at home for a while, and then when I came home I had exams that I had to study for, so it was just hectic. So I just wanted to get settled before I make another video. How has 2026 been going for you guys? Because whew, it's been it's had its ups and downs, let's just put it that way, but actually a lot more ups than downs. God has been good. God has been good. Okay, I am grateful. I hope you are too. I hope the year has been good to you. I hope you felt blessed, and I hope you're doing well. For this video, you guys, I never have any ideas on what to make, honestly, for my videos, so it's always a struggle for me to make these videos, because I'm just like, what do I do? What do I talk about? I don't know what you guys want to talk about. I don't know what you guys want to hear. So I decided that I wanted to talk about what I learned in 2025 and what I'm bringing into 2026. I didn't make a list, but I have thought of some things, and yeah, so that's just what I'm going to talk about. So if that is something you want to hear, if you want to have this chit chat with me, then stay tuned, okay? First thing I would say that I learned in 2025 is to really just prioritize myself. I feel like in my life, I feel like I spend so much time trying to adjust who I am to fit what works for everybody else. Whether that be in relationships, in friendships, whatever. I just find that I see somebody and I really like them. It could be as a friend, it could be somebody that I maybe want as a boyfriend or something. And I find that I try to become the person I think they like. And what I found, I think, is that you would do all of that and try so hard to be this person that you think they want you to be. And at the end of the day, actually, that person will still leave. And I think what I've learned is it's actually better if you are yourself and you have people in your life that see who you are and still choose to stay, than you having people that stay because you are being who you think they want you to be or who they want you to be. Maybe they've even told you that they want you to be this person and it's just not who you are, and you're trying everything in your power to be this person. The people that have accepted me for who I am, the people that have seen my flaws, the people that have seen me at my worst, at my best, and still choose to stay, actually, I think, have been the longest lasting relationships, friendships I've had in my life. And I find actually that the people that I try to become the person they want me to be, those relationships never last. And so in 2026, I almost said 2025, I'm not used to it yet. In 2026, I think something I'm focusing on is really just being myself, regardless of this person that I think they may want or they may prefer. I'm going to be myself, and if somebody sees that and decides to stay, then they're meant to be in my life. And if somebody sees that and still decides to leave, then you let them leave, and be okay with that, because ultimately what I would want for myself is I want people in my life that want to be there, right? So that's lesson number one. The second thing I learned in 2025 was that I am not obligated to stick it out with someone. This is actually more related to dating. I mean, it could be friendships too, But I think sometimes what I find is that I would meet a friend or even somebody that I want to date, and I would, meet them, get to know them, think that they're this great person, and then I find that there are some things that maybe I don't like, or maybe they're in a place in their life where, ideally I wouldn't want to date that somebody in that stage in their life, just as an example. And I would feel almost like an obligation to stick it out with that person because of whatever reason. I don't know why. If someone maybe has a certain character in a friendship that I don't like, or if they're a certain kind of friend and I don't really prefer that kind of friend, or if a guy is a certain kind of boyfriend, or a certain kind of person that I'm talking to, and that's not the kind of person I prefer. Maybe they're like working their way up to get a job, but like right now they're not really financially stable or whatever. And for me, I ideally would want somebody that's making money. I would feel bad for leaving that person for that reason, and I would feel almost obligated to stick it out with that person in hopes that when they make it, they would stay with me and they would choose me. And that's just not true. It's just not true, okay? People will choose who they want to choose. It has nothing to do with what you do for them, whether or not you're there for them, at what point in their life you meet them. People will choose who they want to choose. They will stick with who they want to stick with. They will leave who they want to leave. It doesn't matter what you've done for them. It doesn't matter how long you've been with them. It doesn't matter all the things you've been through with them. It doesn't matter if when you met them they were broke and you stayed with them up until they have money. At the end of the day, people will get up and leave if they want to leave. It's just a fact. It's just reality. People will leave if they want to leave. So I think the biggest thing for 2026 for me is if I decide to be friends with someone and there's something about them I don't like, or if I decide to stay with a guy and maybe there's something about him that I don't like, or something about his situation that I wouldn't prefer, I think if you decide to stay, that's okay, stay. But make sure you're staying because you like this person, and not because you're hoping that they would do something for you, or hoping that because of this they would choose you in the future. Because if that is your mindset, you're just going to end up disappointed. And I think that's what I've learned, honestly, that you'll end up disappointed. So if you choose someone, or if you decide to stick it out with someone, just know that you're doing it out of the goodness of your heart, and you're doing it because you care about this person and you want what's best for them. And I think also just not expecting that they reciprocate in some way in the future, because it's possible that you won't be disappointed, but there's also possibility that you will be disappointed. I think the third thing that I learned in 2025 was to not tell people who I am, and also not let people tell me who they are. I think the biggest thing I've learned in 2025, one of the biggest lessons I've learned, is to really just watch. And, words matter, but actions are so important. What people do is very telling of who they are. And that's really how you will learn people. You'll learn who they are. You'll learn if who they say they are is truly who they are. And I think sometimes, I don't even think people tell you, oh, I'm this, oh, I'm that, necessarily because they don't think they are. I think sometimes they really think they are, but I think sometimes when you get into certain situations, you don't realize that you're actually not being who you said you are. And that's okay. You know, we're all not perfect. But I think for me, my biggest thing is just not talking too much, but letting my actions really show and letting people see who I am from how I move, how I handle situations, how I interact with people, how I handle whatever it is. You know, let people just watch and see. Too much talking isn't necessary. I don't need to tell anybody that I'm a caring person. I don't need to tell anybody about the good qualities I have, that I have good character. I think people will see my actions and determine that for themselves. And I think that is the loudest way to really, without speaking, tell somebody who you are. And it's a way that is believable. I think what I did a lot in 2025 was sometimes I would find that I try to tell people who I am, or people would tell me who they are, and I would just take it and believe it. And because of who they told me they are, or I would put them on this pedestal, and you just end up disappointed. You know, and I'm not saying that like when people tell you who they are, you shouldn't believe them. You should to a certain extent, but I think you should take it with a grain of salt and really watch their actions. I think that's really important. And I think that's something, like being quiet about who I am is something I'm learning. And also like learning to not take what people say or who people think they are, who people tell me they are, as gold. And really just looking at their actions and, you know, taking what they say with a grain of salt and watching what they do, how they act in certain situations, how they behave, how they react. And really just using that to determine and kind of, you know, form this idea of who you think a person might be, you know. Yeah. So that is, I think, number 3. I think this is going to be the last one. And I think this is probably the most important. I think one of the biggest lessons I've learned in 2025 is how important prayer is, how important having a relationship with God is, how ever present God is in our lives, and how much He's just always there. I've always known God, and I've always, you know, like desired a relationship with Him, but I just felt like I never knew where to start. I never knew what to do. I never took my prayer life really serious, to be honest. There would be periods where like I would try to read my Bible. I would never be consistent. I never really got into prayer. I never knew what to say in prayer. But this year was different. 2025 was different. 2025, I started praying, and the more I started praying, it went from, I remember before I used to look at people that would pray for like 15, 20, 30 minutes. And I'm just like, how? Like, what are you saying for 30 minutes? And now over time, I found that actually 30 minutes will pass while I'm praying. And I'm like, wow, that felt like 5 minutes. And it's so sweet. Like, it's so sweet to ask your Father for something and He gives it to you. It's so sweet to ask your Father for something and He says no, and you know that it's coming from a place of love. Prayer has done so much for me in 2025. Like, I worry a lot about people in my life, about things in general, and praying has significantly helped me stop worrying. I've just really been taking to heart the verse that says, be anxious for nothing. And praying when I feel anxious, when my heart starts racing, when I feel worried, has completely like turned my day around. Like completely turned my day around. Before, I would feel anxious or worried about something and my whole day is just messed up. Now, as soon as I feel it coming, I pray, I go into prayer, and I am just calm and relieved, and I'm able to go about my day, have a productive day. And God has just been so good. Like, God has been so good. Spending time in his presence has been so sweet, and I've just been growing. Like, I feel like I've been growing. I feel like my faith right now, since I've been more intentional about praying, has been stronger than it's ever been. And I don't even think my faith is big, but it's grown. And I think growth is what's important. I think growth is really important. I think a lot of times we think that we just want to get to a place with God, and actually it's a process. So for 2025, I just want to keep on that road, to keep on track with God, and just keep praying and really letting him like take the lead in my life, and just going to him over about everything, asking him to be in every area, in every aspect, in every corner, to be in every decision, to be in every thought, like even with my thoughts, with my mind, I ask God to be there, and one thing is, God cares about every tiny little detail of our lives. He cares deeply, and nothing is too small to go to him about, nothing. And so I've learned to just go to God with everything. And the more I go to him, I feel like things just become clearer. And, I feel less confused about things. I feel less confused about making decisions. And I really just feel like it just feels so much better. Like, it's just more clarity in general. So yeah, that's something I want to take into 2026 and for the rest of my life, and I think right now what I just hope for is really people in my life that are really on that same wave of, not even a wave because I don't want it to be temporary, but on the same journey of really just growing in your relationship with God, and just really focusing on what's important, which is really Jesus Christ and God. Like, just reading the Bible, praying, I want people in my life that will like call me to pray, or call me to read my Bible, or hold me accountable, or that are really truly like trying to move and walk in the way of God, and that's really my goal for 2026. Like, I want the faith that I've grown in 2025 to be bigger at the end of 2026, and I just want it to keep going like that. So yeah, oh my gosh, those are the few I can think of. I'm sure there's so many more, but if we talk about that, we'll be here all day, and we can't do that actually all night because it's late. It's like almost 8 o'clock right now. We'll be here all night. It was so good to chat with you guys. Like, this was nice. It's good to get this off my chest. I feel like, I don't know, sometimes I feel like I don't really have anybody to like have these conversations with, or to just like sit and chit chat with like this. Everybody's just busy with their own things, their own life, so it's good to have you guys. And I know I'm not consistent. I hope to be more, but I do really enjoy just being able to come here and just kind of just say what's on my mind. And yeah, I hope to see you guys soon. I'll definitely try to be back soon to make another video. And I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did and you want to hear more, please feel free to like, subscribe, turn on your post notifications. And I really hope that this year is a blessing to you and for you. And I hope that you stay safe. And till next time, bye.